30 years after we finished SEAL training, we're all off on our own different careers. And we would get together for our reunions every 5 years and go, why us? Why the 11 out of 70 of us? We must have had something in common. And I went, well, I've been a family practice doc now for a while, and I know how to deal with stress. I treat it all the time. Maybe we have something in common. Let me go back and look. So I went back in writing this book. It took me 3 years to write it. And I interviewed all my classmates, got their whole life stories, how to remember what we were doing in Hell Week and what they remind, why didn't we quit? Why didn't you quit when people tried to make you quit? Because Hell Week is all about trying to get you to quit. Because if you have doubts, you're going to fail. And I stumbled again on the answer to that question. And, I really think the Navy should pay me a lot of money for the answer to that question. Why did these 11 men succeed when the other ones failed? Because none of us were star athletes. None of us were endurance athletes. None of us were great swimmers. One of us was a great swimmer. But we just were kind of average guys. What was one thing we had in common? The one thing we had in common is before we decided to go to SEAL training, every single one of us had been beaten up by life. Everyone. We had, I won't tell you which one I am, but we had sons of alcoholic fathers that had to stand between their mother and father to keep the mother alive. We had a Floridian who was so poor, if he didn't use a slingshot to kill the squirrels and birds, he wouldn't get any meat. We had one was an adopted child who was left on a 70-year-old's doorstep who didn't want him, and you'll hear these stories and go, oh my God. The answer to, and you alluded to this, the answer to success in stressful situation is having survived stressful situations before. The SEAL teams were always blown away by the fact you could bring a star quarterback and a monster athlete in and he would quit in the first day because they've got options. They can go somewhere else and do something else. They got the natural ability to do anything. We were just, runts. Life had already kicked us around. Somebody, dragged us out of the gutter and we looked around going, how can I prove to myself that I'm okay? And, SEAL training is the toughest military training in the world, bar none. And every single one of the guys I talked to said, I kind of chose that path to prove to myself that I'm okay.